Have you ever felt overwhelmed by your thoughts, like you're lost in the noise of your own mind? Have you wondered if there's a way to find peace amid life's chaos? This story of mindfulness, inspired by the teachings of the Buddha, offers a path to inner calm, no matter how stormy the world around you may seem. Once, in a quiet village nestled beneath towering mountains, there lived a woman named Anayah. She was known for her kindness, her dedication to her family, and her tireless work in the fields. But despite her outward grace, Anayah's heart was troubled. Her mind was always full. Thoughts of the past, anxieties about the future, worries about her children, her husband, and the endless responsibilities of daily life. She felt like she was constantly running, even when sitting still. Anayah couldn't sleep well at night. She would lay awake, her thoughts racing about all the things she needed to do, all the mistakes she had made, and what more could go wrong. In the mornings, she woke up exhausted, her mind already spinning with worries before her feet even touched the floor. One day, while she was at the market, she overheard two women talking about a wise Buddhist monk who had recently come to visit the village temple. His name was Master Kavi, and it was said that his teachings could bring clarity and peace to even the most restless minds. Anayah felt a glimmer of hope when she heard this. Maybe, just maybe, this monk could help her quiet the chaos in her mind. The next morning, Anayah rose early and set off for the temple. The air was crisp, and the morning sun cast a golden glow over the village. As she walked, her heart raced, not from excitement, but from the usual flood of thoughts. What if this doesn't work? What if I can never find peace? When she arrived at the temple, she found Master Kavi seated beneath a large Bodhi tree, its wide branches offering shade and stillness. He was a man of simple appearance, his robes worn but clean, his face calm and serene, as though no worry had ever touched him. Anayah approached cautiously and bowed deeply. Master Kavi, I've come seeking your guidance. My mind is never still. I worry endlessly, and I do not know how to find peace. The monk opened his eyes slowly and smiled, his expression warm and inviting. Sit with me, he said, gesturing to the ground beside him. Anayah sat down, her hands trembling slightly as she folded them in her lap. The silence around them was both soothing and unnerving. She could feel her heart racing, her mind already jumping ahead, wondering what the monk would say. After a moment, Master Kavi spoke. Tell me, Anayah, have you ever watched a river after a storm? Anayah nodded, though she wasn't sure where the monk was leading her. Yes, I have. The water rushes violently, carrying mud and debris. It's wild, uncontrolled. Master Kavi nodded in agreement. Exactly. The river becomes chaotic, filled with dirt, broken branches, and everything it picks up along the way. It is like the mind when it is filled with worries, regrets, and fears. But what happens to the river after some time? Anayah thought for a moment. It settles, she said quietly. The water becomes clear again, the dirt sinks to the bottom, and the river flows peacefully once more. The monk smiled. Just like the river, the mind too can become clear if we allow it to settle. This is the essence of mindfulness, Anayah. When we focus on the present moment, without getting swept away by thoughts of the past or future, the mind becomes calm, and peace arises naturally. Anayah frowned slightly. But how do I do that, Master? My mind is always racing. I don't know how to make it stop. Master Kavi reached into his robe and pulled out a small bowl of water. He held it up in front of her. Take this bowl, he said, and hold it carefully in your hands. Imagine that this water is your mind. Right now it is still calm. But if I were to stir it, he said, swirling his finger through the water, it becomes disturbed, just like when we allow our worries and fears to stir our thoughts. Anayah watched as the water in the bowl rippled, reflecting her own inner turmoil. Now, said the monk, watch what happens if we leave it undisturbed. For a few moments they sat together in silence, watching the ripples slowly subside. The water grew still again, clear and reflective. This is mindfulness, Master Kavi said softly. It is not about forcing the mind to be still. It is about noticing when the mind is stirred and simply allowing it to settle. It is about returning your attention to this moment, the here and now. The more we practice, the more easily the mind settles, just like the river. Anayah listened intently, her heart opening to the simplicity of the monk's words. But Master, she asked, how do I practice this? My life is so busy and I have so many responsibilities. How do I find time to be mindful? The monk smiled gently. Mindfulness is not something separate from your life. You do not need to carve out special time for it. You can practice it in everything you do. When you cook, be mindful of the food you are preparing, the texture of the vegetables, the scent of the spices. When you walk, feel the earth beneath your feet. When you speak to your children, be fully present with them. Each moment is an opportunity to return to yourself, to allow your mind to settle. Anayah felt a warmth in her chest, a sense of relief she hadn't known was possible. For the first time, the path to peace felt accessible, something she could reach even amidst the busyness of her life. But what if I forget? She asked softly, her voice tinged with fear. What if I fall back into my old habits of worry? Master Kavi chuckled lightly. You will forget, Anayah. The mind will wander. It is its nature. But when you notice that it has wandered, gently bring it back. Each time you do, it becomes easier. Mindfulness is not about being perfect. It is about practicing over and over. Anayah smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. She bowed to the monk, her heart lighter than it had been in years. As she left the temple and walked back toward her village, she paid attention to her breath, to the feel of the ground beneath her feet, to the sounds of birds in the trees. For the first time in as long as she could remember, her mind was not racing ahead or looking back. She was simply here in this moment, alive and at peace. And so Anayah began her journey into mindfulness, learning that true peace comes not from controlling the mind, but from gently guiding it back to the present. Perhaps you too can begin your journey towards stillness, one mindful moment at a time.